At some point in this video, I kind of questioned how I'd feel wearing these all day and whatever. Well, I walked around for about 5 hours or so looking for action figures and shoes earlier today, and these definitely get the Tristan Stewart seal of approval, so there's that answer for you. What's going on, people? So, not too long ago, at some point, I think it was last week. No, it was the week before that, because I was in Iowa last week. Either way, sometime recently, I stopped by the local van store up at the, was it Patrick Henry Mall? And, well, I bought this bag, which came with this here box, which came with these here shoes, and now we're here to talk about them. Real quick, though, before we go getting into this, forget which review it was, but it was something that I had picked up from Vans recently, and Chip, the guy that hates gold dust, he left a comment on there referring to me as Rob Van's dad, and it was one of those jokes where it was bad, but it was kind of clever, and so I appreciate that. And so thank you to him for putting that out there into the universe. I probably pinned the comment. Forget which review that was on, but if you're into Vans, go ahead and watch the ones and you'll eventually see it. But past that, talking about these here, right? I saw these in an email a few weeks ago or something, and they kind of caught my eye because they look cool. I like colorful things, right? And so I didn't know who the guy was though, and that's like the kind of like the make or break situation in a time like this. Because I don't buy shoes with names of things attached to them that I can't get into. I had those Raptors 4s that came out in, was that 2019? And I had ordered them before I knew that they had Drake's signature on them. And then when I found out about that, I sent them back because I'm not a Drake guy, right? I did see him once at Austin City Limits, but I want to say I only saw him because Florence and the Machine finished earlier than I thought they would, and I had time to kill or something. But yeah, I don't care about the dude, so I don't want his name on my shoes, right? It's that simple. Some people kind of get a little bit of a pass in some ways, like Kanye West, right? Because obviously he's the whole Yeezy guy, and I don't really listen to his music, but I'll tell you what though, his role in Extraterrestrial, life-changing. I dare you to disagree. So he gets a pass for that reason. But then this guy, Chris Johanson, comes along, and I'm like, I don't know who Chris Johanson is. I did watch some interviews earlier today to see some more about him because I initially looked him up and I just saw that he was an artist. But today, after watching some stuff, I see some of the whole inner workings of how he gets into things and whatnot. And yeah, definitely a pretty alright dude. Past just making some pretty cool art. Kind of reminds me of Mr. Van Driesen from Beavis and Butthead, you know? But anyways, enough about all the backstory, I suppose. Then again, I can talk as much as I want because there's no limit on how long these videos can be now that I got that Android update. And I put timestamps in the video, so if people want to skip to things, they can skip to things. So yeah, I picked these up because I saw them, I thought they looked cool, and I could get behind like the kind of person that it was that made these possible. So here we are. Though I didn't order them initially partially because they were $110 and I wanted to make sure they were going to fit properly, right? And I did luckily eventually see them in stores around here, so I was able to try these on before buying them because, sometimes you don't want to take that chance if you don't have to. I always say that. And then I actually got the time to live it because apparently Vans shoes don't sell like those Jordans and whatnot, which is good because it's nice to be able to just walk into the mall, browse through some things, see what you like, see what you don't like, see if something is really worth the hassle that it would have taken you to get it. Yeah, I miss those days. Maybe some of you guys miss those days too. Either way, let's move on past that and we're just going to go ahead and knock this thing out because it is now review time on this right here, ladies and gentlemen, the Vans Ultrarange EXO in the Chris Johanson colorway. Now, there's probably a better colorway title than that, but I don't know what it is. So anyways, let's go ahead and jump on into this thing, shall we? I'm going to start this one with the bottom. So what you're looking at down there is, for the most part, it's a pretty standard outsole for Vans shoes as far as design layouts go. It just looks a little bit different, right? So, but otherwise it's very much plain, so not much else to say about that. Moving on up to this here midsole though, things take a bit of a change, right? So for one, around the front here and the most of the back area, there's a slight change, right? Because down here around where the toes are, you've got a little bit of a grid type shape thing. Then towards the back, you have more of this, I don't even know what you'd want to call this design, but they have that going on. And then one thing I do like on the very back, they don't have that standard Vans style logo thing where it looks like a band-aid over two broken pieces of something. It's just like your standard flat piece of whatever. So huge improvement in my eyes, at least. And as far as the midsole goes, if you're like kind of squeezing on and you're wondering like what it really feels like or whatever, I would say that it's squishiness wise, it's probably on par with the React Vision. So if you're familiar with those, there you go. So it's going to be a little, not quite squishy, you know what I'm saying? It's got some give to it, but it's going to have some sturdiness as well. And that's kind of what those make me think of. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the actual upper piece of this shoe and all that good stuff. So one of the things that you're going to notice about these, and where the whole EXO piece of the name comes in, is that they have this little exoskeletons type thing going on, where if you look around the toe box, a little bit behind where the toe is, around here, back on the heel as well, and then if you switch things around over here to the medial side, in all those areas, you're going to see kind of like a little plastic overlay sort of thing, which is there to kind of give more structure to the shoe, right? You know, help you get that locked in sort of feel, that security that you need. So that's where that EXO portion comes in. But past that, another improvement here, well, we'll come back to that when we get to the tongue section. But anyways, as far as the upper goes though, right? So basically this upper is made out of some sort of like organic cotton and all that stuff, and the coloring is made based off of the style of paintings that Chris Johanson generally does. So if you're familiar with his work at all, which I can only say goes back to for me like to last week, you kind of know what you're looking at, right? And now moving on through the shoe, you know, it's pretty much all just that. Each shoe is different. Well, the left one and the right one are different. If each pair is different, like the Wings 5s or whatever, I don't know, but I will say these two shoes are different. And now, one of the things that you'll also notice about the upper is that it does have, and you may not notice it at first, but it does have that same strip down the side as the old schools do, right? So on other models, I believe that's just like a solid color. On this one, it just kind of blends in because of the way they did the coloring and all that. It doesn't pop out at you. But anyway, so you basically just have an upper with a whole bunch of colors. And then moving on to the back, you do have a nice little pull tab back there that says Ultrarange. And other than that, when it comes to the outside of the shoe, there's not a whole lot to say. So we're going to switch things on over here and finish up with the front section though. So up here where the laces are, right, these laces, they're made out of jute. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but it's supposed to be some kind of like minimal growing plant, like, well, it takes minimal resources to make it or whatever. And I guess it has something to do with like the type of stuff that you would use to make burlap or whatever. Either way, it goes in with this whole organic thing and trying to make the most use of things without having to dump a bunch of resources into them or whatever. So supposedly it's good for the, you know, economy or whatever, ecosystem, the world in general, all that crap, you know what I'm saying. So you have that going on with these here laces. They feel pretty nice. Honestly, like reading through all that stuff, I would think that they'd feel bad, like those Element 87 laces, you know, but they don't, so that's cool. And now one thing that's going on past that, behind these laces, is that the tongue has these extra holes in it for breathability. So the shoe already seems kind of lightweight and everything, but with that in there, it's supposed to just give you that much more. So they have a couple down at the bottom, and they have a couple that are up at the top. And then speaking of at the top, you do have the standard Vans Ultrarange tab on the top there, just a piece of fabric that's stitched on, and then another little pull tab on the top of that. And this tongue overall though, past the middle section where it is kind of padded, you can kind of see on the inside. Otherwise, it's pretty much a thin style tongue, and there you go. Now moving on to the inside here, one of the things that did sell me on these shoes, as I've mentioned in the past during my, Element 87 reviews, I like cork, right? I also have these cork slides, right? Because I like cork, it's just kind of a cool material. And so on the inside of these, you do have the cork insole with the Vans comfy cushion there. So that's pretty cool. And then moving on past that, excuse me, Ultra Cush. And then moving on past that, you do have the Chris Johanson signatures right there across the top of it. And past that, though, there's not a whole lot to say on the inside. It's just your standard shoe, right? Very basic, but again, it's just nice looking. So that kind of gives it a pass, at least in my opinions. But I think that's everything about the shoe, right? So real quick, I'll get you my personal thoughts and we'll talk about some size and whatnot. So here's the thing, right? Again, I bought these because I thought that it looked cool with the whole colorfulness thing. I like the guy's art style, and now that I know a little bit more about the dude seems alright too. So all in all, these seem like a perfect pickup for someone like me. Are they good for someone like you? Well, I don't know. Stay tuned and watch the sizing portion, and that'll hopefully give you some kind of idea on where these stand for you. Which brings us to the sizing portion. Now, I bought these in a 9.5, right? Because that's what I buy in these Cush style Vans, because they generally feel like they don't have as much room. And I gotta say, that worked out just fine this time as well. So, what I would suggest to you, and I can't compare this particular style, the Ultrarange, to a standard Ultrarange. I don't even know if the other ones don't have the Cush thing involved. But I would say for this particular model, go with your standard size that you would buy in any other Air Max or Ultra Boost, which again for me is 9.5, because that is what worked for me. Now, if you happen to have access to the internet, I highly suggest going and watching other reviews and seeing what other people say, not just taking the one person's opinion, right? Because there's a whole lot of them out there. Take advantage, people. Now, past that, past the sizing, I will say also that these are very comfortable. I don't want to oversell it, right? I'm not trying to overstate the comfort here. But compared to what I would generally expect of a Vans shoe, these are doing pretty alright for themselves. So how they'll stack up with like an all-day wear, I can't speak on that. But I'm feeling like I'll be okay with it, I must say. So that's a good deal in my opinion, especially when you look at the cost of these coming in at $110. They're not quite cheap, people. I mean, unless you make a lot more money than I do or something, maybe then that's nothing. But anyways, I don't know what else there really is to say about these shoes, so we're just gonna go ahead and wrap this review up, right? I mean, right? So again, I really like the way these things turned out. They look great in my personal opinion. There's a slight blemish or two somewhere on this one. You know, just but when you have a shoe that's made like this with like the way they do the printing and all that stuff, sometimes certain things are to be expected. So in this particular case, I'll kind of let it pass. But I totally get why people would not let certain things pass if this was like glue stains on like a new Jordan 5 or something, you know, because it's a different situation. It truly is. But in this particular case, I'll let this minor little issue pass. It's right here on the side, and there's like a little speckle of paint that kind of is, or dye that's a little out of place. But again, I'm not going to worry about it. It's just too little to me to be concerned with, but I did want to bring it up so that way maybe you'll look at that in a different light. If you happen to pick up a pair of these and you see something that's a little off, maybe you'll think, you know what, he's right. It's not that big of a deal, because it's not. At the end of the day, it's just shoes anyway. So there's that. I think we're good. I think I've talked more than I needed to, so that means I'm going to wrap this up. From me to you, have a nice rest of your day or rest of your night, whatever it is, wherever you are. I am done for the day, minus recording me on beats and whatnot, and maybe editing. It's only 12:30. I can probably do this all today without having to really rush through it. We'll see. We'll see. If you see a video go up on Monday, there you go. There's your answer. For now, later, people.